Hello, welcome to my bookshelf, and today I'm super excited to share with you my TBR for the month of May. Now, I originally picked out 6 books, and I decided to even do a theme. I was going to do book to movie adaptations, and so those 6 books are book to movie adaptations. But then something amazing happened, and that amazing thing is that I won a Goodreads giveaway, which, first off, I don't think I've ever won much of anything my entire life, so this is so exciting for me. But on top of it, it sounds like a really cute book, which is why it was in my want to read pile, and which is why I entered the giveaway in the first place. And so the first book that I will be reading this month is not a book to movie adaptation, at least not yet. I mean, who knows, maybe one day in the future. Only time will tell, but that would be Zen Diagram by Wendy Brandt. This is Wendy Brandt's first novel, and it looks really cute, so good job so far. I'll be really excited to see how the writing is, especially since it's her debut novel. But the premise sounds really cute, so I am very hopeful. Basically, our main character, Eva Walker, she's basically a loner, and she kind of does this on purpose because she has this ability that when she touches people or things, she's able to see their secrets and fears and, things that you wouldn't want people knowing about. And obviously that makes her kind of an outcast, and it's just easy for her overall to just not really have any friends. So she tends to do that for the most part. But then Zen comes into the picture and things start to change, and she finds out some dark secrets about Zen, and it just sounds so cute. And it's just a really fun premise, and I like the fact that it's kind of this contemporary romance, at least it seems to be heading in that direction, and there's just kind of this flair of the supernatural thrown in there. So I think that sounds a lot of fun, and I'm really excited to see what this book is like. And on top of it, it's an advanced reader's copy, which I've never had sent to me before, which is super cool. Though admittedly, you can actually buy this now. It came out about a month ago, I believe, so it no longer needs to be an advanced reader's copy, but I'm just excited that I got one, even if it's not necessary anymore. So I'm also kind of curious if there actually is any differences between this and the end result, but I probably will never find that out. And on top of it, Eva Walker is a math nerd, hence the math theme of this book, which is really exciting to me because I was attempting to be a math major in college. That did not work out because linear algebra is kind of like the beginning of the end for me. That's when we really delved into proofs, and I just couldn't follow anymore. I was completely outside of my comfort zone when it came to math, and so I got out of there. But enough about me. I'm really excited about this book, and I am really excited to have a fellow math nerd to read about. Okay, so the rest of my TBR is my book to movie adaptation list, which I had originally came up with before that was sent to me. And I will link the trailers to all these movies in the description below, so go check those out. So the first book that I picked on my TBR is Stories of Your Life and Others by Ted Chiang. And this is a science fiction short story collection. But unlike I, Robot, this is a lot more contemporary. This has been written in the last few years, so it's definitely a lot more up to date, and hopefully more actual future stuff is going on. But on top of it, like I said, there is a movie adaptation to one of these short stories, and if you're not aware, the movie Arrival is based off of the titular story in this collection, Stories of Your Life. If you don't know, the premise of Arrival is that this woman is able to learn this alien language so that humans can communicate with this alien race that have arrived on Earth. So that in and of itself is a really interesting concept, and I am really curious to see how this played out. I really wanted to see the movie, but that has not happened yet, but it will happen because I will have to do a book to movie adaptation comparison, obviously. I just think that this will be a really interesting read, and I've never read Ted Chiang before, and so I've heard good things about him, so I'm hoping for the best in this collection. Also, the cover is really trippy. And also, randomly related to my Zen Diagram copy, if you look, they're both like math equations. Weird. Math just won't leave me alone. Okay, so the next book that I want to read this month is Before I Fall by Lauren Oliver. I've never read her either, but I have actually caved in and I've seen the movie already, which is kind of backwards, I know, but you know, when friends ask to go see a movie, it's hard to say no. But either way, if you don't know, she has this great life, everything's going perfect, but then she's suddenly forced to relive the same day over and over and over again, and of course, it's also her last day. Kind of tragic, kind of upsetting. We'll see how the book handles it. I have some interesting feelings about how the movie handled it, but I'm really curious to see how faithful of an adaptation it was. So we'll see what happens. It's definitely, at the very least, a really interesting premise. I'm also really curious to find out more about Lauren Oliver's writing style, because I know nothing about it. Okay, so the next book that I want to read this month is Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro. Now, I honestly don't know that much about this book. I know it's about this, I kind of want to just say dystopian in the sense that it's a society different from our own. And I really don't know that much about the society. I know it's set in England. And even though it's this dystopian, I believe it's set in like the 1990s. But obviously it's set up in a society, in a world that doesn't exist in real life. So it's kind of this interesting past, future storytelling. It's been turned into a movie starring Keira Knightley and Andrew Garfield, so I'm really excited to see that movie. I didn't realize it was a movie until I saw this copy of the book, so I'm really excited to read the book and then watch the movie. The next book on my TBR is Girl Interrupted by Susanna Kaysen. This is a memoir, actually, but you may not know that this has been turned into a movie starring Angelina Jolie and Winona Ryder. And so again, I've never seen this movie, but I've heard really good things about it. I was really excited to read it and then watch the movie. And basically it follows this young girl who is sent to a psychiatric hospital, and it's just her experience living in one. So obviously this is a true story, so it'll be really interesting to see what it was like for her, because obviously I've never been in one, so I'm really curious to see what that was like for her. I'm also just a really big fan of psychology, and I'm really curious to see how the psychiatrist treated her and what it was actually like from the insider's perspective. I just think that this will be a really interesting read, even though it'll probably be kind of difficult because it'll probably be pretty tragic, I'm assuming. But I do think it's important to know what these institutions used to be like. The next book that I want to read this month should be a pretty quick read because it's a short book and it's aimed at middle schoolers, and that is Tuck Everlasting by Natalie Babbitt. This is actually a reread for me. I read this back in probably middle school, and it was just really good, and it was, again, one of those few books from middle school that really asked some deep questions and wasn't afraid to shy away from hard questions, and I just thought it was really, really good. And so I haven't read it since then, and I'm really excited to read it again and see what I think of it. I've also seen the movie back in middle school when I read this book, and I haven't seen it since then, so I'm really excited to also rewatch this movie. It's been a long time, and as a kid anyway, I remember really loving the movie as well, so I am really curious to see how these things hold up and to see how they compare to each other. From my memory, the movie was a pretty good adaptation of the book, but we'll see what happens when I re-watch and reread them. But just a little bit about the plot. This young girl meets this family who is immortal, and she gets to decide if she wants to become immortal with them or not. So like I said, pretty deep questions are being asked here. But it's also written in a way that young children can understand it. So I think that's a really cool combination, and I'm really excited to reread it. Okay, so the last book on my TBR is Shutter Island by Dennis Lehane, and I have seen this movie twice now. I just recently rewatched it actually, and that's kind of what inspired this theme in the first place. If you don't know, the movie stars Leonardo DiCaprio, and he is just fantastic like he always is, and he plays this U.S. Marshal who has to come to Shutter Island to investigate the disappearance of one of the patients there. And of course, Shutter Island houses this big psychiatric hospital, which is kind of a callback to Girl Interrupted, though obviously this is fiction and that one is not. This U.S. Marshal and his new partner are investigating, and of course mysterious things happen from there. I've never read the book though, so I'm really excited to see how the book holds up to the movie because I really enjoyed the movie. I really hope that this has at least the same themes and flavor of the movie. The movie just did things so well, and I'm really curious to see how that works in a book form. So it should be a pretty interesting read. Okay, so that is a hefty book haul for me. I mean, 7 books. I could barely read 5.5 last month, but I am hoping to have more free time this month, so I am hoping to just jump right in and knock those books out. I do have some short books on here, and I do have some books that I imagine will be fairly quick reads, so it shouldn't be too terrible, but we'll see what happens. I will try my best to read them all this month. And so far, even though I've made some unrealistic goals, I have been able to keep them, at least for the most part. Either way, I'm really excited to just push myself to read as much as I can this month, like I have been the last couple months. And so far it's been working, so let's keep up with that. So like I said, please check out the trailers in the description below. Trailers are just a lot of fun, so just check them out. And trailers are way better at explaining plots than I am. Alright, so that is my TBR for the month of May. Wish me luck in reading all these books, and until next time,